someone owes you money.
Yeah.
How much they owe you, and you're like, don't worry about it. What's the point? What's your cutoff when someone owes you money? You're like, hey, I'm chasing that money up. So if someone owes you like $20, you're like, let it slide. Yeah. Someone owes you $100, you're chasing it up. What's your personal limit?
Probably 100.
Yeah. Anything less, you're not chasing it up.
Maybe 50.
Between 50, yeah, or probably over 50.
Over 50.
Over 50. Let's assume it's just one person. It's not like you bought like a group gift or something. It's just like one person that owes you money.
It depends who it is.
Yeah, ooh. I think so.
Like, if it was one of you fellas, I probably wouldn't chase it up. I'll wait till we all forgot about it, and then I'll bring it up and pull the piss out of it.
Bring it up,
and then not take the money to make you feel bad.
Great.
Then I win both battles.
But if we're in if we're all chipping in to buy a Burjo and engagement present,
I think that's a bit different.
And then
is he getting engaged?
Oh, you never know these days. Probably not now.
Too soon.
Probably not now. Paige knows he's got crypto.
And Paigey, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Welcome to More Than Money with your host, Ross Marais. This episode of More Than Money is brought to you by More Time Financial, a financial planning company who are on a mission to help young Australians make smarter decisions with money by providing real-life financial advice, coaching, and financial education.
Hey, what's up? It's Ross Marais. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Money. On this podcast, I have real conversations about lifestyle, money, and business. Sometimes I share interviews with business owners and entrepreneurs about starting their own business and their journey. Other times we do financial education and informational episodes to help you make smarter decisions with money, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now, before we get started on today's episode, this is just a friendly reminder in order to keep our lawyers happy that in preparing this podcast, myself and any contributors have not taken into account any particular person's objectives, financial situation, or needs. So before acting on any of this information, you should consider its relevance to your personal circumstances, and if required, seek the assistance of a licensed professional. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Money. In today's episode, I have a bit of a different style of podcast episode for you, one which, depending on the feedback from you, the listeners, may or may not be a regular segment on the show going forward. So in my ongoing mission to help educate people about money, as well as to help remove some of the stigma that comes from money in general, but in particular talking about money, I thought it was a good idea to get a couple of my friends together for my first Money Chats with Mates episode. So obviously, being in the job and running the business that I do as a financial advisor, I get asked about money every single day, whether that's from clients, from friends, family, whoever it is. And as you'll hear throughout this episode, I've got a couple of my mates together, so Will, Kyle, and Michael, or Burjo to us, to record an episode to answer some of the questions, some of their money questions, as well as to discuss some of the important topics that our generation have either experienced or will probably soon be experiencing, including purchasing your first home, getting married, and having children, as well as some of the do's and don'ts that come with dealing with your friends and money, including what you should do if you ever find yourself in the middle of a shout but need to leave the bar, as well as what's a reasonable amount of money to give as a gift, whether that's for an engagement party, a wedding, or a birthday. So one last thing before we jump into today's episode. When my mates heard that I would be filming this podcast, they decided it was a good idea to get dressed up for the occasion, and even decided to give me a very questionable shirt to wear throughout the episode. So if you're wanting the full experience of the podcast, be sure to head over to YouTube where you can watch the entire video and check out some very, very questionable outfits and cowboy hats. Hope you enjoy the show.
All right. My name is Michael Burgess. I'm 29 years old and I'm an electrician.
Not a good one. So if anyone's wondering.
Well, that's why I put them on that side. We've got electrical questions coming up soon.
Kyle Jager, 33 years old.
Jesus.
I'm also an electrician.
Congratulations. Yep.
What's your official title at the moment? It's not electrician.
No, I'm an operations manager at Deep Blue Air Conditioning.
A operations manager or the operations manager?
The.
Small plug there, I noticed. If you guys, anyone wants a splitty put in, Kyle's your man.
Oh, well, he won't do it, but he will operate the managers too.
That's part of the job.
Like that, mate.
My turn, Ross?
That is your turn.
Thank you.
Yep.
My name is William. 30 recently. Father of 2, and my official occupation is I'm a school teacher, head of house, if you will.
Does that mean you actually teach, or does that mean you just...
I don't do a lot of teaching. There's not a lot of teaching in my role, but lots
You're
of
on the premises.
Yeah. Officially, I have a chair there, but there's not a lot of teaching that goes on.
So first question for everyone: are you regular listeners of the More Than Money podcast?
I have listened to the last 2 podcasts.
So that's a no.
I mean, you're more regular than me.
I've listened to a few, Rossi.
A few.
A few.
More than 2.
Yep. More than both these 2.
Out of the 2 episodes you listened to, what's been your favourite one so far?
The last one you did was
Episode 3.
It's the only one I've listened to.
it was you answered some questions from the public.
And boy, did you answer them well.
Best questions I've ever heard in my life.
And I want to know, are those real people or not? Or are they made up listeners?
They made up names, real people.
Oh, beautiful.
With the property developer we've spoke about this.
We have spoken about this one.
Yeah, that's my favourite.
What episode was that?
4. It was when the podcast changed names.
Oh, yeah.
Big
Yep. I missed that one.
Yeah, it was from the original.
I think I was away that week.
I had no reception. Out of credit.
Yeah. That was my favourite. What about you, Will?
I'm thoroughly looking forward to listening to this one.
This will be my favourite. So that's good. Mate supporting podcast. It's good.
I didn't know that was going to be a question.
I would have said yes. Virgil, we'll start with you on this one. What's something you know about money now that you wish you knew when you were younger? How much dogs cost?
No, I think my main thing was maybe more of like I seen you a little while ago was more of like a savings plan and how much to put away in a certain account and that. I used to just all get it paid in one account and then you should think I was balling, and then it come to when all the bills were due and I had nothing. I used to spend well, and then because I thought I'd
used to
still spend. That's my main thing. Yeah, the savings. No more like in different accounts and whatnot. The one like we set up. Yeah.
Multiple bank accounts.
Multiple bank accounts instead of just the one. That's
diverse, if you will.
Diversity.
We'll come to the sponsors. We'll come to the sponsors section.
Sorry, I got up early there. I just thought it was a great time to fit it in.
Carl Jagger, you're the oldest of the group by many years.
I am.
Something you know about money now that you wish you knew when you were younger?
Probably what you can do with it as far as investing, putting stuff into different bank accounts to do different things for you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I was just thought you got paid in one bank account, put money aside in another bank account for bills, and then the rest was spending. Now when you learn from you, Ross, the best, about what you can do, you can invest $2 if you want, but you don't have to. You can do heaps with it. You don't need lots of it.
Yeah.
It's one thing I've learned. I wish I probably knew 15, 20 years ago.
Excellent. William? Don't gamble.
Oh, yeah. Well, that hasn't stopped.
He wish he knew how to gamble.
No. Probably I wish I knew what was going to happen to the property market and real estate, and if I could have invested a little earlier on in real estate. And
you're not happy with the 300% return on your current Eleanor property?
Oh, I love it. But, if we had got in earlier, even earlier than that, with a unit or some sort of investment property there before the current house that we've got for our family home, that would have been something that I wish I could have done. You could have got a unit like this beautiful one in Palm Beach for $100,000, 5-10 years ago, and it's now costing you $500,000.
I wish.
That's actually probably a good one to move on to is property purchases. Kyle Jagger being the property mogul of the group.
Please.
What age did you buy your first property?
I think I was 20.
20.
Yeah.
What was the driving decision behind buying property?
My old man has a few investment property, Ross, and his mother was actually in real estate too. So growing up in the small country town of Charleville, mate, it's not the big property market it is down here, obviously. But I guess, mate, I was living down here as a 17-year-old paying rent, and then where I was share housing, and then it was costing me $150 a week where I could pay a mortgage off for $250. So it was sort of
$250 a week.
Yeah.
Where'd you buy the first one?
This is it here, mate.
This is it.
This is the first. Where we are. Yeah, mate. So it was my old man, really, because obviously rent is never cheap, and he sort of said, "Why are you paying someone else's house off when you can be paying your own? Like, you only need a little unit."
Yep.
And mate, bought in Palm Beach, and back then it was the worst place to be. Everyone thought I was nuts. And anyway, yeah, here we are.
Happy days.
Who's laughing now? That sort of stuff.
Ross, he lives rent free here.
Yeah.
He's a shit landlord, I'll tell you how much. Best financial purchase or decision you've ever made? Start with you, Burge.
I noticed they didn't ask anyone else about their properties, but that's okay.
We'll just talk about the property mogul.
Me and Matt bought 3 years ago, I'd say, the house that me and Matt bought and I live in currently.
And that's gone up in value how much?
200 and I think we bought it for 630, and then I think the last evaluation I got was at the start of the year was 830, so I'd probably say more now, maybe 850 or something like that. So a couple hundred, yeah.
Couple hundred?
Yeah. I'd say that's the best.
Decision?
Best decision I've made, yeah.
Where's the dog come in on that second?
Oh, it's a tight second, yeah. We just hasn't made us any money yet, so it's another.
But you will.
It's a race.
But you will.
It's a race dog, right?
Once we train her up, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Once we train her up, we take it to Albion Park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just shame rabbits are expensive.
Apparently, you can't bring him into Queensland.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're pretty much on the border.
Yeah, just throw over the border and back fence.
Carl Jagger, best financial purchase or decision you've ever made?
It was probably buying my first property, Roscoe, I guess, because obviously property market went up, and then my wife and I were able to take the equity out and buy a little family home. So that was probably the best thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep, I'm going to go straight down the same route. Property
all
the
around.
house we bought. It's like you said, similar to Mick. Bought it similar time, similar price, and she's increased in value
skyrocketed.
very, very significantly.
God
I wasn't race for it Randwick today. I'll give you the hot tip.
That we were just watching 5 minutes ago. For the
I
podcast.
think you're still watching it, to be honest. Probably a bit of a selfish question, like some of these might be. Where do you go for money information or to answer money questions that you might have if it's not coming to me?
Oh, if it's not coming in.
If it's not coming to me, where do you go for information or advice?
Probably ask my old man. I'd only ring him if I majority of the time I ring you and ask you, does that sound good? And if not, then I ask my old man and say, because if I don't know something, I'll ring you.
I didn't like Ross's answer. I'm going to ask you.
Hey, Dad, I think Ross is full of shit. What do you reckon about this?
Nah, yeah. Mainly, if you hear something from like the accountant or something like when you go and sit in and then I'll think about it afterwards and I'll ring you and ask you or ring and ask Dad. So
Where do you reckon most people go to our age? Kyle's a bit older, but our age for information and advice on money?
Google.
Google?
Yes.
yeah.
It's probably changing a lot.
Stop tapping. Tap.
It's probably changed a lot the last couple of years, as you'd be the man to know, Ross, but I reckon a lot more people are seeking financial advice, aren't they?
I think they are, but I also think they're going probably Google and YouTube and things first.
Yeah.
YouTube's great.
I'd rather hear it off someone's man.
YouTube,
I'd
Kyle.
rather
YouTube.
hear it off someone, like someone tell me,
Yeah.
rather than me try and like research it, because I probably don't think I'm researching the right thing.
You don't think you're researching?
I think like I go on, I hardly ever research anything. I'll just ask someone and trust their opinion. Which could be wrong, and then you go do something, they're like, that's wrong. Oh, right, he told me something different. Yeah.
What would you consider to be a lot of money as an annual salary? So if you hear someone like, hey, I'm on 50 grand, 60 grand, 300 grand, like what would you say? Like, fuck, that's a big salary. He's making a lot of money.
100 plus?
Yeah.
Oh, but you're talking big or
What we can
Like if you saw someone said, hey, he's on 110 grand,
Yeah.
fuck, that's a lot of money.
yeah, it's good money. It's good money.
Yeah,
150?
150 is big money.
Yeah.
110 is good money. You'd be happy with over 100. Yeah.
What do you reckon's like average around our group of mates, your group of mates? What do you think most people on? What would be like the general
80.
amount.
80 to 100.
80 to 100. I
Oh,
reckon.
yeah. I'll never really ask anyone what they earn, to be honest.
Yeah.
You just kind of assume though. Like,
Yeah, assume I obviously talk to you a fair bit, Ross, and you tell me that people are making 150 and that. You think,
Yeah.
I'd say from our group of mates, that average would be about 80 to 100.
I always sort of thought 100 grand is a lot of money because when you go 52 weeks in a year, you have 2 weeks holiday.
Yeah.
And then,
2 weeks? Fuck you, losers.
but you know what I mean? For the average
12.
Joe Blow, not a school teacher that gets 20 weeks holiday. But you make it like when you like simple math, like 2 grand a week, there's
It's
100
good money.
grand. Like you think that's pretty good money, isn't it?
Yeah. What's the most amount of money you know someone personally or through a friend of a friend that they're on earning a year?
I don't really ask anyone what they're on.
You know, you hear like footballers and that, like obviously you always know footballers and whatnot, they're on some pretty ridiculous coin.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't really have any like.
Any mates?
Any mates? Yeah.
That's a separate podcast.
No, mate.
Is this a self-help podcast?
The first thing you need to do, mate, is
Where do you go to find friends?
100.
100. Stick with 100.
What are we talking? 100? Yeah, probably, like I said, 80 to 100 would be average in our group of mates, I think, and 150 plus is you're doing very well for yourself, I reckon.
I knew a bloke that was on claimed, I don't know how true it was on 150 grand a year on the power lines.
Yeah. Is that shift work? Is that like FIFO? Like, or is that just
No, it was
regular kind
just
of
regular in town.
six till 3?
Obviously, 7 till 3:30. You go home for half hour lunch, but it's all your overtime. It's a government job on the power lines, like with Ergon or Energex, one of them.
Yeah.
I won't throw which one under the bus.
Because
I know how many listeners you have, Ross.
Yeah, it's huge.
Is he one of them?
Nope. He wouldn't even know what a podcast is.
So then that's what I thought was about a 2-part question. So if you said someone earned a lot of money, what would you consider as a big purchase in dollar terms or in like just something physical besides a house? Like if you're like, I've just spent 50 grand or 100 grand or
cars.
10 grand.
People spending money on cars,
Cars.
A lot of mates buy, especially in the trade industry, they'd fork out of 50, 60 grand on cars. It's crazy, but that's I suppose.
Because I think when you think of it, like you just said, 80 grand is probably average salary, and then someone's spending 60 grand on a car.
Yeah.
There's almost 3/4 of their salary.
You've got 20 grand left to pay your mortgage and feed your family.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I don't know what they cost. There's a lot of Range Rovers getting around the coast.
There is a lot.
And I always think, I wonder when I drive past them,
What do
I
they
think,
cost? They're 100 plus grand.
they're 100 plus. But I always try to look in and think, I wonder what they do for a living.
But I reckon I always think about that. There's the Range Rovers and like the cars that you consider fancy, but then you look at like tradies cars like Toyotas and
They're
the
just
Land
as
Cruisers and
expensive.
stuff. Like,
The dual cab Land Cruiser 110 off the bat, I think.
Yeah.
but you pull up them next to each other. You go, okay, there's a Range Rover versus a Land Cruiser. You're going to choose Land Rover, saying the Richies, but it could be the same price or even more for the Land Rover.
Depends how many kids you got to get into the car as well, Ross. You know what I mean?
That's
Seven-seater.
That's why the Utes are good. You
Yeah.
throw in the back.
Yeah.
Country.
With the dog.
Country
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
With Vera.
Yeah.
What would you say your thought process is personally for making big financial decisions? Do you
Ring you.
talk to someone, do a lot of research? Like, do you save up for it? Do you buy it on credit card loans? Like, there's probably what your thoughts are, and then what do you think the general consensus is of what most people do?
Let's save up, I think.
Save up and buy it outright.
I don't have a loan for anything. Sorry, obviously the house, but everything else, like I don't have a credit card. I don't owe any money. I don't have a car loan or anything like that. So if I like the stuff we buy, like furniture and that for the house, we just save up, then buy it.
Yeah.
So you buy all your purchases outright.
Buy them all outright. Don't know anything on it. Like we have a joint account, then we just put in the joint account. And then when we have enough money to buy something, then we go and buy it.
And who's we, Michael?
Me and my partner, Blige.
Interesting. Any big purchases coming between you and Paige soon?
New hat.
Another bag of dog food.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon that's normal or abnormal?
I think it's probably abnormal. I think most people buy it, like get stuff on credit cards and that now, and then they just pay it off.
Yeah.
Which that's I don't know. It's actually
Still
not a
gotta
bad
pay
way.
for it.
It's not a bad way to do some things.
You can
isn't
chip
it?
away at it
And
bit by
chip
bit.
away at it, yeah, like it's still the way. I just don't. Maybe it's because I don't want to owe anything at the moment.
Yeah.
So that one day we can buy the house. Me and Paige can buy the house off Matt, so we don't really know. That's probably why we don't.
Is Matt listening? Does Matt know that?
Has he agreed to this yet?
Yeah, no. We're in the middle of it anyway, something like that. We're in the middle of it. Yeah.
In negotiations.
We're in negotiations
with lawyers.
I could be wrong. A lot of people use credit cards, though, don't they?
Yeah, I got one. I got one. Elle's got one. Yeah, we use it, and we usually
Jackson's got one.
Jackson's got one. Yeah,
we just opened one for Rory.
Yeah, we're just opening our Roy's got one. No, but we use it. See, like Michael was saying, if they buy furniture and that they save up for it or whatever, we don't. We use our like interest-free credit card because we don't get any interest on it, and you do get reward points and that on it as well that you can use for other things, and you will usually buy it on that, and then we just account that into our budgeting, and in our fortnightly budget or whatever, a little bit goes back on that credit card to pay that off. Make sure it's paid off in that interest-free period, and then that's how we usually work that. Just because for us, we don't want to fork out big lump sums of things. We'd prefer to have backup money in savings or whatever, just in case, especially having 2 kids. But we'd rather have money there just in case there was an emergency or whatever it may be. So we're a bit different to how you run your race,
I'm probably I'm like Virgil. I don't have a credit card. I've never had one.
Yeah. Do you reckon that's personal preference or something you were taught?
Well, my parents had a credit card, Ross, but my dad always says money's evil, and he never actually had a credit. Like their business had a credit card, but Dad never did. So I think there's probably a bit of what I was taught.
Yeah.
And I just. Like we're now, as you know, because we do a bit with you, we probably same as Virgo, like have money aside if something happens. But then if we like want to buy something, we sort of decide if we need it or if we want it.
Yeah.
If we don't need it overnight, we'll chip away until so it's a treat. But otherwise, we've still got that money there if whatever, if something bad happens, if I fall off a cliff or something.
And again, you reckon that's in your opinion, general population. Is that abnormal or normal saving up for things and not necessarily having?
Oh, I think these days a lot of my mates have got credit cards and stuff. And I 100% get it why. I think it's probably a bit more the way I was brought up too, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
I reckon it's abnormal, and I reckon it's because of what you just said there. Even when people don't need something, they want it and they just go out and purchase it, with Afterpay and all those sorts of things at the minute.
It's so easy not to have money these days, isn't it, really, with Afterpay and Zip Pay.
You know what I mean? They'll go out and get something, impulse buying, and Well, I'm not the financial advisor though. So
neither am I.
Just the school teacher.
Just a humble
father
of two, average salary if you're wondering.
100 plus.
That's why he kept pushing for 120.
And he owns that Range Rover.
Outright.
Investing money in the stock market or investing money in general. So if we take out you purchasing a house, what's your thoughts or what's your experience been investing money in yourself, in the share market, in businesses, anything else? Bitcoin.
I invested in Bitcoin.
How's it going?
6 years ago, and and I owned 4 Bitcoins. So I thought I might just tell you now.
I'm a millionaire.
I'm buying my second.
I just like hanging around with you fellas.
Can I have my hat back then? You can buy your own.
Do you own Bitcoin?
No, I don't own Bitcoin. No.
Did you invest in any cryptocurrency?
I did invest in cryptocurrency.
How's it going?
He wouldn't have a clue.
Lost my password.
I hope Paige doesn't listen to this. I said I didn't.
And this is where it unravels. Oh shit!
This isn't it.
Shit!
No, I did. I put like $1,000 into it, and then it went up, and then went down, and then I just stopped. I haven't checked in probably like a month's time. I was just going to leave it, and then just see what happens. But
besides that, any other experience in investing?
No, I don't have any actually. I suppose I look into my super. My super is invested only recently when I started having a look into it. But other than that, I don't nothing. None.
Yep. Kyle Jagger?
Yeah, I've got some shares.
Shares?
Yeah,
property?
Shares. I've got property, but you said without the property.
Besides your home that you live in?
Yeah, well, I've obviously got my little unit.
Yep.
Some shares.
Mm-hmm. Do you have 2 units?
My wife, she bought it by herself before I.
So you're not allowed to get a piece of that. If you were to have a divorce, you don't get a piece of that.
Nah.
Was that the one
I
in
don't know.
Townsville?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never actually.
I lived there for a small amount of time.
Yeah, you did too, didn't you?
Yeah, correct.
How was it like?
I had this second bedroom up top stairs.
It's 2 stories.
It's two-story.
Two-story unit.
Two-story
On the
unit.
beach.
Or it's like more of a
Townhouse.
townhouse, you'd call it. Yeah, a little two-story townhouse.
Oh, yeah.
It's like quite nice size. Yeah, it's good.
Close to town?
Yeah, it's not far. It wouldn't be too far from the new Cowboys footy stadium, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Isn't near the train tracks, though? And back when I was there, it was a bit dodgy around the train tracks.
Common occurrence.
Yeah, so
So shares, property, any good experience, bad experience?
Mate, property's all been positive. To be honest, that we were just talking about in Townsville, the property market has gone in the arse in Townsville over the last few years. So it's like if we were to sell it, we wouldn't make any. We probably wouldn't even.
Well, it's gone down.
Yeah,
it's about the only place in Australia.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think it's trying to crawl its way back if that Adani mine and that opens. But,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
But mate, it's all been pretty positive. Like as you know, mate, with the shares and that, I wouldn't even know how to look at them, to be honest. It's as Warren Buffett said, it's just don't check them.
Who's Warren Buffett?
He's a stock investor. You should know that being a finance man.
just testing you.
Yeah.
Will?
No, we don't really have many or any investments. I started doing. I actually asked you about this. Started just because some mates at work were quite into it with investing, and one of them who I sit next to in the staff room whenever I'm there, he invests in cryptocurrency and different things and stocks, and one of the little ways to get into it, which he recommended, was trying that Marais app, where you round up your purchases and it slowly puts little deposits into account, and they invest it for you, and you can set your portfolio, whether it be aggressive or in cryptocurrency or whatever you want to do there.
Yep.
And you don't really see it going away because you're putting in $1 or $2 at a time or whatever, and it's not big chunks of money being put away, and it accrues and it invests and you get return on it and that sort of thing. It shows your performance portfolio, and it's quite a nifty little app.
So you did start investing in that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I only had a couple $100 in there. And I've made, we look at the little portfolio, off.
Does it compound? Like, does it just keep compounding?
It just keeps going. Yeah. You can just sit it and leave it. You can stop putting money in at any one time. You can take money out at any time and whatever. It's actually, I found that quite a fun little way to start investing, like as a starter.
Yeah.
Because I could open it up and check it out and see how I'm going. I'm up, whatever, $4 for the day on my thing, or you see it. Yeah. But that was it's quite enjoyable. I still have that. Yeah.
Sweet.
Not that it's a big investment, but
Moving away from money for a second, the best thing that's happened as a result of COVID-19 in the past 18 months. So obviously there's been a lot of negatives about it, but what's the best thing in your opinion that's happened personally in the last 18 months as a result of restrictions, anything like that?
You got a dog.
I got a dog.
No,
I haven't been we've been planning on doing more trips around Australia.
Yeah.
But everything obviously recently that's been happening, it keeps kind of shutting them down. But I suppose probably the main thing, one of the good things is people are exploring Australia more, I suppose.
Yeah.
Not me personally.
I've heard it's a good country.
I reckon it's great out there.
If you're ever around Charleville, call in.
Drop in.
Kill, any positives? Or any major positives? Anything
Mate, for me, for sure, as we all know, unfortunately, my wife lost her dream job that she'd been working at for 13 years. But
try to stay positive here, Kyle.
yeah, but after a few years of trying, mate, we had a little baby boy. So to me, that's positive.
As a result of restrictions and being stuck in home.
spending a lot more time at home.
She couldn't get away.
That's my sissy you're talking about.
And back to the video camera.
How'd you think it happened?
Well, any positives?
Positive thing that has happened has been we had our wedding. We were able to get our wedding in between different restrictions. That was as you were all there. You're welcome. Yeah, played a small part.
Jeez, it's if we weren't there.
Some
you got married.
we almost didn't after the night before the wedding, but But yeah, no, we were able to get our wedding in during COVID, and we were lucky enough that pretty much all the restrictions were lifted when we did it. So we had a hell of a time and a hell of a party, and I know there's a lot of people who haven't been able to get their weddings done in this in the last couple of years, and they've postponed, and we were one of the lucky ones.
Do you think it changed? Like, from my side, the reason I ask is I think it changed like how people saw either jobs or certain things of like. They either lost their jobs and then had to change, or they're like, oh shit, I wasn't traveling for work, or now I don't have to live in a certain place because I can work from home. Especially in what I saw with different clients is that it changed a lot of people's.
Sorry. Palmy.
Yeah. It changed a lot of people's kind of like view on things from like, all right, not having to be so busy because obviously they didn't have lots on because they couldn't do anything. Then a lot of people changed jobs or changed careers or maybe start their own businesses because they realised they could, or technology kind of came about or came more to the forefront because of COVID. So I thought that was quite interesting to see that.
I think everyone probably slowed down a little bit too, maybe. Like
because they had to.
Yeah. Instead of, like you say, rush around and trying to get on Instagram and fly to Europe and whatnot, they were going for barbecues at people's houses or whatever.
What was yours, Ross? What's on that?
Yeah, I reckon it was that slowing down of kind of realising you don't have to be as busy and having a bit more time to yourself rather than because what events and things weren't on, you could kind of set your own schedule because you're like, okay, well, I don't have to do anything because I can't do anything. And it was kind of good rather than you're just busy because of the sake of it. It's like every week, you feel like you schedule pretty quickly because there's something on every single weekend, like, and you just say yes to everything because it's there. But when you couldn't do it, you're like, oh shit, like kind of reset your priorities a bit.
Wasn't proposing to Vin.
Did you do that because of COVID?
Thanks, Birch.
No worries.
Money do's and don'ts. I thought this might be a good one. There might be some money owing after this, but shouting your mates. Scenario is you're at the pub, you need to leave for whatever reason, but you're mid-shout with a group of mates. Maybe it's not your shout, but you might be next or next in line, but you have to leave for whatever reason. What do you do?
You go up and say, boys, I've got a bail, and you buy a round.
Have you already shouted?
I wouldn't buy myself a beer though if I'm out.
No, yeah, if you're out. But if like...
So say you're coming up, you're 2 shouts away from yours.
Yeah.
2 shouts away, it's a big ask.
That's why he only comes with 3 beers with 4 of us.
Did that thing get up in the quaddie? I don't know.
You go and buy a round, even if you don't buy yourself one because you're going.
Yep. So you jump someone else, get yours in.
100%.
Do you think what's the cutoff? If you're 3 shouts away, are you?
How many beers have you had in this shout?
Let's say
that's important to know.
Let's say you.
How many people are in this shout?
Are we like you after that grand final in 2015?
Do you need another shout?
I didn't miss a shout.
Do you need another beer?
You didn't. Couldn't order them.
We had to go order yours for you.
No, but you obviously one. If it's your shout and you can't leave without shouting, that's a sin. 1, you're 1 away. You're probably doing 2 away, 3 away. So there's 5 people in the group.
So you've had 2 beers.
No, you maybe like 3 or 5. But let's say 5 beers in.
Yeah.
You got to leave.
Oh, 5 beers in, you definitely got to shout. Yeah, if you haven't shouted already. Like 1 beer, I'd like be like, oh, I'm just not going to shout at everyone. I'll get the one bloke that bought me a beer. If I'm only there for 1 beer, I probably wouldn't have gotten a shout. I'm probably breaking down you.
What establishment are we at? How much the beer's cost?
What else can I spend?
$10 a beer, $20 a beer.
I need to know.
If you go into the pub though, and there's 4 or 5 of us, and you know you're on a time limit of an hour and a half, you just get the first round, wouldn't you?
The
first round. Say, boys, I'll get the first one because I've got to go.
Or don't get a shout.
A bit of pre-planning.
Yeah. Smart.
That way, no one misses a scheme.
That's a bit of experience on your behalf.
What would you
spend a bit of time?
What would you consider an expensive beer? How much is a lot of money for let's say a schooner?
Give us a set beer too.
A schooner. How much is
like a schooner of Northern, for example? I'd like to know what beer because
let's just like any
if you're paying over $10 for a schooner, it's highway robbery.
Yeah,
agreed.
Under 10, I just you cop it, but over 10, I don't even if it's $10.50 or even if it's $10, I don't blow it up.
If it's $10, it would want to be the best beer you've ever had.
Yeah, I could handle like a $10 pint, but over $10 for a schooner is a joke.
That's ridiculous.
I tell you where you want to go: Chugan Leagues Club, $5 schooners
And
all
that
day,
brings us to
every
the next sponsor of the
day.
group.
$5 Stone and Woods as well.
$5 stone.
Oh,
You
what's-
can't
what
get a
do you-
$5 stony anywhere.
Jesus.
What do you
All
think?
day, every day.
I know this is your thing, Ross. and
No,
you
no,
ask
mate.
the
It's open
questions.
for him. Go nuts.
What do you think is a standard price for a beer on the Gold Coast, on the southern end?
Schooner or
Schooner, because we all live on the southern end of the coast. We all drink.
Berger, stop rubbing you. Stop rubbing.
Oh, sorry, I was just getting it off.
$7 bucks.
don't-
I reckon $7
Don't
bucks.
drop it in the carpet either. I can see what you're about to do.
Stick it on the wall.
I reckon-
$7 for a schooner.
$7 bucks. I reckon $7 bucks.
I think $6 or $7 is going right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
You
think
get
so.
your Chugan or you get your Burley pub where you pay $6 pints.
Yeah.
Which is great going.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, that is good.
Mm.
It's a good knock.
Someone owes you money.
Yeah.
How much they owe you, and you're like, don't worry about it. What's the point? What's your cutoff when someone owes you money? You're like, hey, I'm chasing that money up. So if someone owes you like $20, you're like, let it slide.
Yeah.
Someone owes you $100, you're chasing it up. What's your personal limit?
Probably 100.
Yeah.
Anything less, you're not chasing it up.
Maybe 50.
Between 50. Yeah, or probably over 50.
Over 50.
Over
I
fifty.
reckon.
Let's assume it's just one person. It's not like you bought like a
depends.
group gift or something. It's just like one person that owes you money.
It depends who it is.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I think so.
Like
too.
if it was one of you fellas, I probably wouldn't chase it up. I'll wait till we all forgot about it and then I'll bring it up and pull the piss out of it.
Bring it up
And then not take the money to make you feel bad.
Great.
But like, but
and then
like-
I win both battles.
But if we're in if we're all chipping in to buy a Burjo and engagement present,
Yeah, I think that's a bit different.
and then
Is he getting engaged?
you never know
Congrats,
these
eh?
days.
I
Probably not now.
too soon.
Probably not now. Paige knows he's got crypto.
And Paigey, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
She's one of Ross's big time listeners.
No,
I think that's different. If like there's a group and it's like collectively you're owed $400 from like $100 from 4 people, like
no, but I mean, if you, Will, myself, and one of your mates that I didn't know that was good mates with Burjo, but we put in and got an engagement present,
and you don't really.
and we all put in $100, and your mate didn't give you and Will pay.
We're chasing up.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, Roscoe,
Get your mate and pay
get on
me.
your
Yeah.
mate. What's his go?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
any amount, or when do you when do you let it slide?
20 off. $20 is probably all right. Like poor bugger, he might be doing it a bit tough, but like she's giving an old present of 5 or 4 of
It is Burjo's engagement we're talking about.
we got him a 3-pack of Bon Wife feeders.
And some hankies.
GB.
Best gift ever.
GB, if you're listening.
So what are we landing on? You're in between under 50. You're thinking about it. Over 50, it's
Yeah.
they're calling debt collector.
I still think like next time I see him, I'll be looking at him going like, "You owe me money."
Yeah.
Does anyone owe you money?
No, I don't
No?
think so.
No.
Does someone owe me money? I'm a bad
I don't think
memory.
anyone's really like
No.
you go and do a job for someone and like cash in there, mate, and there's a couple of them out there.
That's all I was going to say. That's it. There's definitely some people that owe
There's
you
some of them
money.
out there, but like
Oh,
then when
yeah.
they
Because you never ask people for money when you do their job.
no, but when they ring you,
4 days a
more-
week, yeah, I'll do it for free. No worries.
But when they ring you and they want more work done, that's when you just say, flat out.
Oh, actually, someone does know me.
Go on. Call them out.
Call them out.
We can give them a call now.
How much do they owe you? We'll put them on loudspeaker.
Nah,
Go on, do
get
it.
it.
Is it more than 100?
It's 50.
It's 99.
Nah.
Who is it? We'll ring them.
We'll let that one slide. Gift.
Is it Paige?
She gonna get it.
gift giving. What do you give as a gift? If we obviously because everyone just gives money now. How much do you give? 3 different scenarios I'll give you, or maybe just 2. Someone gets engaged, doesn't have a party. Someone gets engaged, does have a party, and then a wedding. What do
Hey,
you?
Ross, Jesus, you're really...
What are you given? Do you have a stock standard amount that you give each time? Do you like the person? Do you not like the person? What's the thought process?
See, I'm all bad at. I'm like shocking. I don't even think of this kind of stuff. But luckily, Paige thinks of this kind of stuff now. Like, or like, I'll just go to parties and like think of the presents that the company involved, like what you should be getting. But now I've started like.
Now you're thinking about getting married. You're just starting to think about what presents you want.
Now I'm thinking about. Then when she thinks, well, what are we going to get him? I'm like, oh, that's right. We've got to get him something.
Toaster.
I love it.
No, but we just went there. whatever, like the per person feed, like whatever it costs for you, like the per person.
Just take a stab. Stab
I
it
do
up.
between
100.
50 or 100. Yeah, 100.
That's
100 between us.
Outstanding.
Wedding, our standard for a wedding is 100.
100.
Between you or each? So 200 or 100?
Nah, again, it depends.
If you like the person or not.
Yes, that. And
If you're going to see the person again.
Again, clearly we like everyone whose wedding we go to. But, and it's going to be different if I go to, if Michael ever does propose to Paige, maybe that's a different price compared to,
Yeah.
I won't compare it to someone else. But you know what I mean? I think that does matter. And also, I guess the cost in that does matter as well. Like Michael's saying, like, actually, no, it doesn't. Fuck them. If they want to spend $100,000 on their wedding, that's their fucking fault.
Yeah.
And we always go like $200
Yeah.
for a wedding present. Just like it's probably going to cost us $100
Per head,
Cost
sort of
them
thing.
$100 a head, especially like I don't mind a beer.
But if you know it's a real fancy wedding, I'm not stepping it up actually now just because I thought
Nah.
they've spent more money.
No, and it's like sometimes you've got to travel or book accommodation for a weekend and that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like or flights and whatnot. So that's what we sort of go with. And I've spoken to mates about this in the past too. We sort of run with because a mate of mine went to one of our good mates' wedding.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do we give him? Like, that's where we actually had the conversation about $200 because we've flown down here. We booked accommodation for the weekend. Like, we're not
Already cost you $1,000.
yeah, it's always cost you $1,000 by the time you go out for brekkie and dinner and that the night before or whatever. But engagement party, I haven't been invited to an engagement
I haven't
party
had an
in a long
engagement
time.
party in years.
But I think that is when you throw the toaster and the cooking stuff out, isn't it? Like you get it.
Yeah,
Ross
Fine,
got-
mate.
when Ross got engaged, did he use one present?
Any what?
Oh, I'm glad you noticed why I asked the question. Thanks, Birch.
His engagement party.
His engagement present.
I don't think any of us went to that engagement party, did we?
Still waiting for the present.
Don't people have, or they used to have, like a list or something that you could log on and see what
Registry.
Yeah,
Gift
like,
registry.
Gift registry.
I don't
Yeah.
want anything, but I've got this gift register.
yeah.
But I think it's just money, right? You don't unless you
No, I think
have a
there's gifts on
personal.
there,
No.
man.
I mean, like right now, like unless you have a personal connection with a person that you like, they want something in particular.
Oh, yeah,
you just
money
give
is
it-
a
you
gift.
just give
Yeah,
it money.
100%.
Especially when you got close mates, like you can all go in and say,
Yeah.
let's all put in and get them.
Like a half decent present rather than go and buy him something. It's like,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, for example, I thought the gift that you guys got us for our wedding was great. Great idea, even though it wasn't just money.
What was it?
Ask Paige.
Paigey, if you're listening, thank you.
No, it was the helicopter.
The money is all put in, and then the gift voucher for when we went to Hamilton Island. We got the helicopter ride. We got the gift voucher for the food. We got the massage vouchers for the spa. We got all the different. Someone's breaking in.
Someone's trying.
All the different things for when we went to Hamilton Island, and that was a great idea. I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So I'm going through a couple of different life events. I thought would be interesting to know. Gift giving, I think, is kind of an interesting one. Starting work. So we got obviously two Sparkies, and then we got teacher. So and then myself. So knowing what you know now, start with you, Birch, because you're going around. Knowing what you know now, do you reckon you would have still shirt on him?
Yeah, just for anyone not listening to not just the audio but the video. Ross's shirt is a real antique.
It's antiquities.
It's an antique and something that's very close to all of our hearts.
Rest in peace, Carl Jagger.
It's known as the shirt.
Deciding what you're going to do for work. So if you knew what you knew now, Bird, do you reckon you would still done what you'd done, become a Sparky, straight out of school?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I do enjoy what I do. I actually, I do. Yeah, I enjoy what I do. So yeah, I'd say I would probably still be a Sparky, but another one, like now that I've got a lot of mates that are teachers, teaching also wouldn't be a bad gig, mainly because
You don't have to work.
you do fuck all.
No, we work very hard.
No, they get 12 weeks holidays, but but the good thing is we got paid when we were younger, and I kind of always had money and did whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. So money, it's never really been like I can't do that because not that I live an expensive life.
Money's never been a problem for you.
Not that I live an expensive life. Like I'm far from living an expensive life. I'm a pretty plain bloke. So,
Kyle Jagger, over to you. Knowing what you know now, you reckon you still would have done the same career path?
Probably would have always done the trade, mate. I guess.
Always Sparky?
I guess so, mate. Because in childhood, we used to have one day a week off school to go and do work, like school-based stuff. So I went and did a bit of plumbing and that too in the holidays. So I tried that.
No good.
I just love it. And then I did a bit of sparking out there and I really enjoyed it. So now I don't love it.
Hope Clint's not watching.
No, we do air cons there. So,
But would you have wanted to do like knowing what you know now and what you do now? Would you prefer to have learnt something different? Would you have gone back and like shit? Would have been good to know business stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah, obviously. Yeah, I wish I would have learnt more about business, Ross. Big time. But anyway, I learned electrical instead, and then I went and lived overseas for 2 years. Just partied pretty much, I suppose. So I didn't really.
Well, we're asking you, mate. Will?
I'm pretty happy with my choice of job, if I'm being really honest. Like Michael just said before, school teacher's a good gig.
Yeah.
We spoke about salaries, and we're kind of right on that tipping point of being close to 100.
Right on that 150.
Close to that 100. It's not as if we get paid, massively, but we get paid okay.
Yeah.
And we get 12 weeks holiday a year, and it's paid holidays, and we get annual leave, and you get sick leave, and you get pretty good hours that work with having a family. And yeah, there's not much I can complain about, if I'm being really honest. I kind of very much enjoy my job.
Yeah.
There's not very many times where I'm working and I'm like, I don't like this. I don't know if there's ever been a time where that's happened. So I've got a pretty good gig.
Teachers for the win.
What if you were teaching people like me and Nick?
Yeah, I'd be fucked.
It'd be bad.
I teach a fair few rat bags, but it doesn't bother. I don't let it bother me too much. Yeah, because I kind of get having mates like you and Mick. I kind of get the idea that school's not.
It's relatable.
School's not for everyone, and I understand that. So, it is what it is. I kind of am pretty relatable with the kids, I think.
Man of the people.
Man of the people. That's what they call me.
That's the job title.
Man of the people.
Another big life event that you three have gone through, buying a house. What was one of the main reasons for you buying a house, and what was that experience like?
Mine's going to be different to you two.
No, it was time. Like I can't remember where I was living at the time, but I was just overpaying rent. Yep. And then I think my brother was selling his unit, which gave us the deposit just to get a loan to start off with.
Yep.
Me and him to go in on it. So he sold his unit, then me and him went in halves together, and I think I was just overpaying rent. And I think I don't even know where I was renting at the time. But yeah, I was just over.
Palm Beach, I think.
Was I?
Yeah, down the road here with the footy boys.
Was I there? Was I?
I think so.
Well, yeah.
No, weren't you at Easties?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was at Easties. Yeah,
with you guys as well.
I was living out.
You were living with me.
Big memorable moment, obviously.
You and Vin lived with him.
Yeah. We lived in Kira together, and then moved to Miami.
Oh, the Kira one. I forgot about the Kira one.
It was just after I got back. Yeah, it was good.
Hell of a time. An experience buying your first home? Simple, easy, stressful?
It was pretty simple. It was just the real estate guy was just a dickhead. He was like a moron, and he was just trying to obviously play hardball with us, and wouldn't answer calls and everything like that. And then just him, but he was a grub, so it just kind of. And then once we got the house. Everything they wouldn't even there wouldn't be keys and shit for doors and things we needed, and they were just a real bad real estate to go through. He was just a knobhead.
You want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, Niels Turner. I still remember him. He's down Gators
Oh,
sometimes.
that's actually his name.
Yeah. And he doesn't even look. He won't look at you in the eye. Like he's gutless.
Classic.
Yeah.
Any
Hope he listens. Neil, if you're out there, or Niels.
Neil's actually a client of mine.
Is there 2 Niels?
Anything in particular in that process that you wish you knew before you bought?
It was more like
advice
about
for
interest rates and that kind of stuff. That like now when I'm like the process we're going through now, I more understand like especially the way that my business is like set up with having an offset account and things like that. Like I just had everything fixed and at a rate, and I didn't even really know what the rate was at the time, and I didn't even like understand interest and stuff like that. I just thought I want to buy a house, I want to buy a house and I don't really care what's the repayments. That's the repayments got to come in. Now when I'm trying to buy Matt out and we're going in with it, I'm learning everything so that I understand how everything works and don't have to fix it all. You can have something in like a variable account with an offset, So things like that, at the time, I just wanted to buy a house. I thought, how good is this? I'm getting it, and we're going in to buy a house. But now I kind of realise when we're buying it, how to do it better.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I think that's probably from my side that I see. It's the number one thing that people forget is that they just see what they're paying in rent and what the mortgage is. They don't take into account any other expenses. They say, I'm paying $450 a week rent. A mortgage repayment is going to be $550, similar to what you were saying before. And then that's it. That's the only thing they consider. They don't take into account the rates. They don't take water, body corporate, all of the things that they pay for. Yeah, electricity probably goes up if you're going from unit to a house. Your water obviously is going to go in that you don't count for. Maintenance on the home that you don't have to pay for.
Do all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So that's, I think, probably the biggest education piece that I apply with clients is say, okay, yeah, cool. I can see the mortgage is only going to be an extra $100 compared to what you're paying now. But once we add all the other stuff in, then it's like, okay, well, what's actually, if we just look at purely on a financial basis, what's actually better renting or buying? Just purely from a financial perspective. What about you, Kyle? What was the reason? Let's go buying, because you're a property mogul. What was the reason for buying a house, your first actual house like that you're living in now?
Well, mate, we always wanted to have a family and whatnot.
Yeah.
Coming from the bush, mate, I couldn't live in a unit any longer. It was doing my head in, like big time. It was just doing me head in. You could come home from work and you had nowhere to go. You couldn't go outside and pick a weed out of the yard or have a beer with a dog, or you couldn't get out. You could only go and sit in the rock driveway out the side of you.
Hell of a driveway.
Hell of a driveway. So I just wanted space, but it was funny when we first started looking. House prices were like 500,000, and I guess coming from the bush and seeing my parents buy houses, and they still buy houses in Charlotte for 130,000 now.
Yeah,
I just couldn't fathom like
500K.
It's $500,000. I'm just your humble old tradie, and like just
now the same house is worth $1 million.
Yeah, not quite. But like I remember when we finally found a house, and we got it before it went to market, so we probably got it a bit cheaper before anyone else, tried to outbid us, I guess. But I remember saying to Emma, like, Dad's going to go off his nut when he finds out I spent $600,000 on a house.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest thing for us was our wages hadn't changed in years. So we
still on that 170, just for the last 20 years.
Yeah, please. But you go from having a $250,000 mortgage for this unit to having a $600,000 mortgage, and just couldn't fathom it. And when you realise how equity works and offset accounts and rates, fixed rates and variable rates and whatnot, it's all it is, until you get your head around it, like Virgil was saying, it's probably a bit overwhelming until you finally, and I still don't understand it. That's why we pay you, Ross.
Yeah.
Fair bit too, I heard.
Oh, it's a rip off. Anyway. one less thing I have to worry about.
Well,
what was the question?
Firstly, what was the reason for you buying your first house?
Yes.
And then what was the process like?
Reason? Well, Elle got pregnant and we went...
To who?
still trying to figure that out. And we went, we can't raise a child in this unit that we were living in, even though we loved the unit that we were living in Chugan on the beach. So we said, fuck, we're going to have to buy a house here. And So we started looking. First house we looked at is actually the house we bought. The very first house we looked at, first house we went and had an inspection on, that's the one we ended up buying. We looked at another 100 after.
Remember we went and looked at a heap like one weekend.
Oh, mate, I reckon we looked at 100 houses, but the first one we looked at was the one we bought, and very happy we did. Yeah, I think we made a great decision. We looked at all the other houses and we just kept comparing it to the one that we bought in Eleanor and thought, none of these are as good as the first one we looked at, and they're all the same price or more expensive. And we said, we want to be near Eleanor and Palm Beach anyway. That's where work is and that's where our family is and that's where we've grown up. And so we just, let's just bite the bullet here and buy it. And like I said, we're very happy we did, because that $600,000 house is now worth close to $1 million for doing nothing for it.
Anything going through that process, anything you wish you'd known ahead of time, or any advice for people looking to buy their first?
Because it happened pretty quickly, it was a bit stressful. And because we it wasn't something we go, oh, look, maybe they're not, the house isn't for us, we'll just wait and see what we can find a year down the track, because we actually are on a time schedule here.
9 months.
9 months, yeah. Well, it was, we're 8 weeks in already, so we're 7 months. And so we had a bit of a deadline sort of thing. It was a bit stressful. Yeah, it was anxious, and we were lucky that you put us onto the mortgage broker. Crazy old Matt. Crazy old Matt. I think he lives in Bali now and just...
Not anymore, but close enough.
He'd be listening too, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Matty. He listens he loves a bit of, listen a bit of techno. Do all that sort of stuff.
Does he?
Yeah. Anyway.
He's actually crazy.
He knows it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Smokes gully, right?
Yeah. Anyway, Matty was great. Young fella. Mortgage broker.
This is what you used to surf with.
Yeah. Run with him too, didn't you? Yeah, he used to outrun you, he told me. Mortgage.
If you saw our body shapes, you'd know why.
Mortgage broker Matty, he was very helpful. He basically just sorted everything out for us. I think that was before the time where we didn't actually pay his fee. But they've had new legislation come in or something.
It's still the case now.
Oh, it is still the case? Yeah, right. Anyway, so...
He's someone that you owe money to then.
Anyway.
Was it more than $50?
The bank paid their fees.
Yeah.
Is that something how it works?
Yeah,
anyway,
right.
Matty was great. He sorted it all out for us and basically gave us 500 different options on what we could do and gave us his sort of opinion on what he thought we should do. And we were able to get the process done pretty well. Again, like Michael, the real estate agents sometimes aren't the easiest to work with. Won't give mine a shout out and say he's gutless like Michael did, but yeah,
Niels. There's probably only one bloke on the coast with the name Niels.
I'd say so.
But we
Speak that out.
Nope.
we were lucky as well that we didn't, because it happened quickly. We didn't have much money for a deposit. Like we both had individual savings type thing, but it wasn't enough to have a 10% deposit on the house or significant deposit. So we were lucky that Kaz went in as a guarantor for us for the house.
That's his mother, if anyone doesn't know who Kaz is.
Yeah. Mum went in as guarantor, and we were kind of lucky that brought our payments down to a really affordable price. And we're very happy. Very happy. Probably the best thing we ever did was purchase that house, and it was along with just because we something that was maybe not planned.
Did you think the same way I thought? Because like I said before, I thought 600,000 was...
Oh yeah, we were.
Were you boys
I think it was around, because obviously we all, besides you, grew up in Eleanor, but like you lived on the coast for a long time. It's like Eleanor. It's like you're not paying more. If you pay more than $500,000 for a place in Eleanor, you're crazy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's just the way that the real estate market changed so rapidly. I think as well, we were a bit like, by the end of it, I think it was, you're bickering over $1,000 sort of thing with the real estate agent who's representing the owners of the house or whatever. We put an offer for, I can't actually remember the number, 640,000 or something, and he comes back and says no. Nice. Yeah, he says no.
Should have been teaching.
But he says, no, 650 or something like that. We say, well, no, we can't afford that. And then he says, oh, well, 645. And you're like, yeah, what about 642? Or what? And you're like, fuck, at the end of the day, we really want this house and we're really going to lose it for $2,000. Yeah. What a fucking joke. Never going to pay that mortgage off ever in my life anyway. What does it matter?
Not with that attitude. But obviously I had on there next thing to talk about was kids, but you said buying a house, you needed to buy a house because you're having a kid.
Mhm.
Again, I think that's something I see a lot of is that people are like, oh, I'm having a baby, I need to buy a house. Not that if I can or I want to or if I can afford it, I need to.
Mm.
Knowing that obviously you've got 2 kids, Kyle, you've got 1, Virgo, no.
Has heaps out there. Paige, if you're watching, sorry.
I got a dog.
got a baby. But do you, like with kids now, do you think you could live in a unit? Like you're both living at units before you bought a house.
Definitely not.
Do you think how long is it? Do you think you'd live 6 months, 12 months, or just not at all from day one? As soon as you had a baby, you couldn't live in a unit.
No, I personally, I couldn't. I need my own. We need space and house and yard and yeah, no.
Yeah, even
And not flatmates or anything. You couldn't live with someone else and have a kid and I need for me from day dot. I needed a house
Because of the space or because it was your own? Like if you were renting a house, living in a house renting, do you think that'd be okay? Or was it actual like that it was your own house as well?
No, I probably no. I don't think I could be renting a house either, especially knowing what my child was like. He was drawing on the walls with crayons and driving his fucking lawnmower down the hallway and smashing it into walls and putting holes in the walls. And like I wouldn't be comfortable renting a house and having kids in it because kids are crazy and they're loose once they get to being little toddlers. So, when it's your own house, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kyle, same thing? Or you suppose yours is a bit different at the moment. You haven't got to the running.
Yeah,
the running.
Spencer's only 6 months, mate.
The lawnmower phase.
He's only just starting to sit up. So,
Walking. He started writing his own name, didn't he?
yeah, I'll tell everyone he can.
In Japanese. he's good.
Nah, mate. Even before him, mate, I needed to get out of the unit, Rossi. I was going insane. Just, like I say, come from the bush and where everything's open and you could walk out your back door and you're walking down the river. Mate, there's no way I could have a kid in a unit, I don't reckon. I mean, if I went broke tomorrow and I had to, you obviously do what you got to do. But
The thing around having kids then, so what is anything you wish you knew beforehand that you know now? Any tips for anyone?
Sleep goes away quickly.
I'm not giving anyone tips on parenthood.
Oh, no, not tips, but it's something you wish you knew ahead of time because I feel like I see obviously lots of people, our friends are having kids and it's just like, oh, it's the best thing ever. It's amazing, which obviously it is. But then no one tells you how shit it's going to be for that first period of time, which I assume it is pretty bad with sleep and all that kind of stuff, like that it's so hard.
You get so much advice, don't you? Like Will knows, like everyone's got.
Is it advice or opinions?
Well, probably opinions.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing you just trust your instincts, I suppose. As you know, Will, like you just like there's no right or wrong in it. I don't think. Like some people are going to tell you not to vaccine your kids or don't give your kids cheese or
Who told you? Was the person who told you, were they lactose intolerant?
Yeah, exactly. No, like
it was me.
They say when your missus is pregnant, they shouldn't eat.
Sushi
This and that, sushi and stuff.
Elle wasn't buying it.
Same as them. Like just because that's what our parents did. That was 30 years ago.
Please. Yeah, exactly.
Like, times have changed. They know more now, and
is there anything you'd recommend people spend money on to make their life easier when having a kid, like cleaner or like something, or food delivery? Or
actually,
like
you say that now. Actually, that's one we've just started recently because obviously I work full time and have a couple of jobs and that sort of thing. And I'm a really hard working guy.
I'm a big.
I work really hard.
Anyway,
Elle also. Is very career driven and enjoys her job. And she went back to work after Jackson part-time and then full-time. And so, little things like cleaning the house and that sort of thing, there's so many chores and only a certain amount of time in the day to get things done. We've only just recently got a cleaner in.
Jeez, teacher wages.
Yeah, got a cleaner in. And it was, I'm all for it, big time. Yeah, because what they can do in a couple of hours.
What can they do?
Magic.
Once a fortnight? What are we doing?
No, not even. I think we've only had them in once, if I'm being really honest. But we probably
there's more than one.
Yeah, there's two of them.
You told me
a team, a team of two, and they did things that we've never done since we've lived there, like clean the inside of the microwave and things like that.
Who does that?
Oh well, the cleaners, the cleaning crew.
Mine's just clean all the time.
Yeah,
I go there, come home, it's clean.
But just and the one thing was it means Elle doesn't have to do it because she was the one doing it, not me. And it means Dell doesn't have to do it, and it just gives Elle more time in the day.
Did you think about doing it?
Clean the inside of the microwave?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
You can't reach. It's too high.
Look, it's got to work 3 jobs, man. I'm busy. But it gives Elle more time, and therefore, it just makes her a bit happy. What do they say? Happy wife, happy life, and It's getting anyone else getting hot in here? I'm a bit hot in the jacket.
With the jacket.
Nah.
Bit more.
Yeah.
Next life event I've got for you is weddings. Getting married, having a wedding. I want to separate the two things of getting married and then having a wedding. Because I think that everyone's like, oh, getting married is so expensive. It's like, well, no, having a wedding can be expensive. It doesn't have to be, but it can be expensive. But getting married, you go to the courthouse and it's kind of easy peasy. So spending money on a wedding, look at the two married guys in the group.
You want a few tips? Is that why that's the question, mate?
I think actually myself and Killer I did both of our weddings probably in the cheaper side of any wedding I know out of any of our friends or anyone I know. We actually managed to get them done at a very reasonable price. I was someone that was, I just can't fathom the amount of money that people spend on weddings.
I think that's the interesting point. There's like, okay, what's your personal experience? What you guys did for your weddings, and then what do we see? What do you see as like other people spending money on weddings, and what your opinion is there?
I think. Well, I went to both our weddings and loved both of them. Had the time of our life at both of them, and wouldn't really change anything for the world. It didn't matter. It was a great day, and had all of our friends and family around, and it was a fucking a day that you really remember, and you can do it for whatever $10,000 or you can do it for $100,000 like some people do, and I just think you don't have to spend a ridiculous fortune to still have very memorable day. Yeah, personally.
I 100% agree with Will, but like we loved our day. We loved Will and Ellie's day too. Like very low cost weddings and very fun. But I think that's probably come down to the people that's there too, I guess. Like that make it fun. It's not about like we could have put it like $1 on each and everyone still would have had a fat old time and with good music and good people and whatnot. Like and I think once you go to a few weddings too, you realise probably sends you down a path how you'd like your wedding, I guess, too. Yeah. Like Em and I had been to a couple of weddings that were probably on the upper side and like flash, and you couldn't really let your hair down, and it was great. Like, but that's what them sort of people were. Whereas you go to other ones where you can take your esky and a bottle of rum, and everyone has a fat old time.
Yeah.
And that's not for everyone either. But I think the people that do spend $100,000 on a wedding, probably, I'm only assuming here, later on in life, I'll probably go, well, you need to do that.
Yeah.
I can only assume that.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Any thoughts on the matter there from an unmarried person?
No. Yeah, I enjoy both weddings, but both like different. One, well, Will was at a venue, Coles was at a property.
Yeah.
They both had a hell of a time. I can't think.
Do you remember either of them?
I can't think of a wedding I've gone to that I haven't enjoyed.
Yeah,
like I really.
Do you think from a money perspective, like going to a lower cost wedding, say the Kyle or Will's, versus an upper, very expensive?
Like,
you have a better time, worse time? Like, do you think?
Not at all. I'm like really flowers and shit. That for me, I don't even like. Some people say like, oh. My cousin, for instance, paid like nearly $30,000 on flowers or something, and I think to myself, like, I didn't even fucking look at those flowers once. And like, I know, like,
didn't even give you a tickle.
I reckon like the low cost weddings are like, I don't know. There's no difference to me in like a high. I'd love just getting into it and having a dance and that kind of stuff. To me, that's a fun wedding, you know what I mean? And like,
the superficial things don't really matter so much.
I'm not, so that superficial stuff, it doesn't bother me. I wouldn't even notice. The thing is, I wouldn't even notice, like, if someone like said, oh, this costs such and such, like, unless I don't even like how much the bar cost.
Yeah.
Tell me that. That's anything.
Give me the important information.
Yeah, like
one thing for us was like a photographer. My sister got married a couple of years before us, and I forget the amount, but I remember thinking, still a bit of money that you got to pay for it. And at the end of the day, it was a photographer, and they got this book at the end of it. And I remember before we got married, I said, how many times you looked at that book? And she said, we didn't know where it is.
Yeah.
So to us, that was like, well,
near a couple of grand,
more than a couple grand.
Yeah, I think it was like 4. Everything's digital now too.
Yeah.
Like,
$4,000, and you think, like, fuck it, put it in a frame.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we spent 500 on our photographer.
Who did it?
Just a friend's niece, yeah. Kay and Cow's niece. And
Yeah.
the photos, we love the photos. Photos are unreal.
Yeah.
We didn't even have it. We got Georgie.
Your Georgie do yours, yeah.
Wasn't Dan the photographer at your wedding?
He took it upon himself.
Took it upon himself. But,
That was the
so,
GoPro.
Yeah.
But like Georgie, we gave her some money and a nice bottle of drink, I think, and gave her all the drinks she wanted at the wedding for the night.
Yeah.
And
Photos turned out
our
great.
photos, like in our photos, we ducked over the back paddock for a half hour for some photos, and she takes a great photo. I don't think Georgie's a photographer, but like we could sit back now and go, wouldn't know. I don't know. Or someone that's a photographer would probably be able to tell, but I don't have any friends.
I mean, for ours as well, it fucking pissed down the day of our wedding. It was dead set cyclonic. So, I'm glad we didn't pay fucking $5,000 for a photographer because we wouldn't have been able to go out and take photos anyway. You know what I mean? That would have been $5,000 down the drain.
Yeah.
So, I just think, like you say, I just think I look back on it and I go, I'm so glad we didn't spend a heap of money because we still had an unreal time. At a low cost, and it was a day that we'll never forget. Yeah, it was great.
But like in saying that, but people want to spend that money. And
that's up to them. And if they have the money, and
they like this, like they like it just as a flowers thing. As for instance,
you're sticking on the flowers.
I'm not like someone that's going to say like, "Oh, that's a shit idea." I really don't like it. If they like, so some people like those, they have different tastes than I do. You know, so. Like it's still not saying it's a bad idea. I just wouldn't worry. Like that's just not something on my priority to-do list is have like spend money on, the superficial stuff.
It's probably a bloke thing too, I guess, like flowers and the this and that. Whereas all we worry about is if it's going to be a mid-strength beer or a full-strength.
Yeah. Like I just want everyone mind. I just want don't want everyone to pay for a drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That kind of stuff. Like I want to pay for anything.
Wait for Will to finish up these.
But then, but give me $100.
Nick, do you want to? Yeah. Bring it in tight. Close.
Bring it in for the real thing.
Bring it in the real thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. $100.
Minimum.
Yeah. Well, that's so you both got that ahead of you, guys. It's something you can look forward to and
Ross is first,
Yeah, well, is he? Who knows?
Ross, has there been any conversations about it? Because Will and I have been through, obviously, this year you have a conversation.
Yeah, we might be able to give you a bit of advice.
Is it a 10-year engagement plan?
It was a 10-year engagement plan. No, wedding chat. End of 2023 at this stage. That's the thought process.
Is there a place?
COVID, all that kind of stuff, There's a couple of possibles and probables.
Yeah, gotcha.
Have you done a possibles probables list for the wedding?
Of people?
Yeah. So this is so weddings.
Yeah.
My advice I can give you is the hardest, easily the hardest part about it is the guest list.
Well, this seems to be
easily the hardest part.
The amount of weddings that I've gone through with friends and clients and everything. That seems to be the major contentious issue is the guest list. They said everything else is kind of like, argued a bit about do we spend $20,000 or $30,000 on flowers, but who do we invite to the wedding? How far do you go? Who comes? Cousins?
I know Kyle was the same as me. This was the hardest thing, wasn't it? The guest list. Yeah. Again, we got saved a little bit because COVID hit, and we had some restrictions around. We just couldn't have as many people because of COVID. So that made it a bit easier for us to say. Not that people did ask, but if someone said, "Hey, I'm wanting an invite," I thought I'd get an invite, which is a bit weird thing to say personally. You say, COVID, we had to cut back numbers, which we did. That's a true fact, but that probably was a blessing in the end because, it's hard. It's hard to know when to draw a line, especially when you're a social butterfly like myself.
Emma and I had a rule. We obviously had the list, and you colour, and you think, "Oh, I don't want to offend that person," and then we sort of said, well, if we don't have their phone number, because not many people change phone numbers these days, but for the odd, so we said if we don't have their phone number, they're not coming. But if I haven't rang them in the last 6 months, and Em and I, we got married within 6 months. So we said if we
you really coincidence you cut that line.
Yeah, but that was it because if we hadn't rung them,
one of your mates are trying to call you. You're like, no.
No. Deny. The list. Think of the list.
That's why Emma took my phone. No, but you know what I mean? We found that probably an easy way. It was we haven't spoken to them in the last 6 months.
They would be shaking, by the way.
Yeah, big time. So,
Is it audio only? Obviously,
yeah, it's changed rapidly. Well, I think I like that, and we were talking about this the other day, saying similar kind of thing. Like, okay, if the dinner test, that if you could have them over for dinner, just like if it's a couple or a person, if you could have them over for dinner and have dinner with them and not be awkward, great.
Yeah.
If you couldn't, if you couldn't or you wouldn't invite them over for dinner, then why would you invite them to your wedding?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
we went through this. We were pretty lucky, but I don't know if my parents listen to this or not, but like the input.
Does Freddie know what a podcast is?
Hey, Fred.
Shout out to Fred. Family's family. Like, mum's brother or sister that you haven't seen since you were a kid, sort of thing. Like, do they get a start and whatnot? And I was probably lucky that my sister, who got married a couple of years before us, just said, "Well, mum, I've had nothing to do with her." So sort of mum, my sister broke my mum down. So when it come to Em and I getting married, mum was just like, and she was like, "It's your wedding day. You do what you want." And I'd confide in Dad and say, "Dad, like, what do you think about this?"
I think it's a bit of Pandora's box. That once you open one connection, then it's just like, oh, cool, you invited that one, uncle, you need this.
You got like big family. Well, I got a big family.
Yeah, the family part was the hardest part. Like, you could call friends and go, well, look, it's just, you don't spend that much time with them anymore or whatever it may be. But family, mainly, like, I could go, oh, look, we're not going to invite this person of the family. And it wouldn't bother me, but I knew it would upset either mum or it might upset mum or dad. And I wasn't worried about offending. I wasn't worried about me being worried. It was more about upsetting mum or dad. You know what I mean? Because that's important. That's important. But for a wedding, for their child's wedding, that's important that they're happy and they're enjoying the day as well.
With us, mum said, "I want you to invite these 3 people." I was like cheering. One was Emma's auntie, who's my mum's best friend. I was like, tick. And the other 2 were like another family friend that we all, Emma and I both got on, and they're always going to get invited anyway. So we ticked that box pretty easy.
Yeah.
And that was easy for you guys. Obviously, a lot of your family and our family are friends. Yeah. So that made it easy for your wedding.
Mate, it was, No, I said to Em one day too, if someone hasn't rung us to congratulate us about getting engaged, they're off the list.
Bert.
And they rang me. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'll ring you back. And I said to him, he did ring me up. He's rung me up to like tell me the news. And Kate was doing the 21st. I was at my place and we like doing the speeches of the 21st. Right. And then Kyle was like ringing me to tell me like his news about him and Emma. And then I was like, mate, I gotta ring you back. He's like, yeah, righto, sweet. And then he ends up ringing me back. He's like, oh yeah, I just want to tell you something on FaceTime. I'm thinking to myself, like, what is it?
You've had 20 beers at that stage going, hey,
do you know what I mean? Like the word gets around that like we've all got mates in other states. Yeah. The word gets around Facebook and Instagram and whatnot and Twitter, if you will. But like,
shout out to my 200,000 followers.
What's in the Twitter sphere?
StevenBabenBigWilly.com.
If you've enjoyed this episode of More Than Money, make sure that you subscribe to keep up to date with all of the latest episodes. And feel free to like, comment, and share with a friend.